Hello, folks. This is Reverend Kevin coming to you with a story time. This is my story time of what happened when I first started at Superego and how I got to come to Superego. All right. So, this was about 2020. All right. Around like May 2020 or whatever, April, end of April. All right. So, I was working for a temp company called Transforce. All right. I had a job lined up where I was working for Husqvarna. This is like before the pandemic hit. Before the pandemic hit. All right, so pandemic hits. Husqvarna was getting ready to hire me on as a actual driver for them. All right, which they were through Ryder. Okay. Husqvarna was a chill job. All I did was shuttle trailers to and from South Carolina, in the South Carolina region, maybe in North Carolina, Georgia. Not too much. But I was home every day, off every night, home every weekend. Didn't have to work Saturdays. Didn't have to work Saturdays at all. If I did work a Saturday, it wasn't much. I didn't do much. All right. So they called me and said, hey, since you were the last one of the last ones to come on, we can't really hire you right now. We're going to have to probably put it to where you don't work no more this week. This was on a Thursday. So I was off that Friday. And I said, before I left, I said, well, will I be back to work next week? Yeah, you'll probably be back to work Monday. You'll probably be back to work Monday. So I'm thinking Monday I go back, just show up. No call, no nothing. They said they was going to call me on Sunday. No call, no nothing. So I show up for work Monday like I'm supposed to. I go to work Monday. And then all of a sudden, I get told that you're not supposed to be back to work. I don't think, we're going to be using you no time soon until like the stuff with the pandemic go down. I said, okay. So then Transforce found me another little temp job where I was moving mail. Well, a lot of times the hours for that was crazy because it'd be afternoon, night, sometime in the morning. And it was crazy. Like, I never really had a set schedule with that. So I would move the mail, and then I didn't really get called a lot because there was so many people doing that I didn't really make no money. I think one of my paychecks was like $44. So then I was like, look, I can't do this no more. I got to find somewhere else to go. Nobody was really hiring because the pandemic had caused a lot of places to shut down, a lot of people to be out of work because of, being quarantined. So with all that happening, I said, well, let me see what's up with being maybe a lease operator. So at the time, I had a friend. I'm not going to mention his name, but he does work with Superego. And he was like, hey, man, I'm lease purchasing over at, Western Express. I asked him about it or whatnot, and I was thinking about joining on and coming aboard. But then my wife was on the phone with her dad at the same time I was having that conversation. He kind of heard what I was saying. He was like, nah, don't you let him go over there to Western Express. I got a guy named Tom. I can put him in touch with Tom. He'll do better off at this company than he would do at Western Express. So my father-in-law, shout out to Bruce. Thank you, Bruce, my father-in-law, who basically said, hey, I'm going to give you Tom's number. I got Tom's number. I called the number on Monday. Now, that was a Saturday going into a Sunday. I called the number on Monday, and I asked Tom about the information. And I called him and told him who I was. I said that I'm interested in, coming aboard. At this time, Superego was not half as big. I think they maybe had like 500 trucks at the time because they weren't as big as they are now. So I made the call. After I made the call, he told me to send in a copy of my driver's license. I needed to have my work history. And I also needed to have my social security number. So I gave my social security number, did a background check, MVR check, sent him a copy of my CDL, front and back, because I have endorsements. So I sent it to him, and he was like, all right, give me a few hours, I'll get back with you. So then I get a call back and say, hey, man, they approved your application, like, to come aboard. So now all you got to do is get to Bensenville And when you get to Bensonville, we can do your in-processing. But when do you want to come? So I didn't go until, I think it was on a Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever I took off. And I got there, I took off early in the morning. I took off at like 8 or 9. Got there like 10 or 11. Got off the plane, they gave me a number to call. Called the number, they sent me an Uber. Went to the company. Got to the company. They'll pay your Uber, but they're going to take that Uber out your check when you first get there. Now, when I was there, they didn't offer hotel rooms, but now I hear it's different. That they'll put you in a hotel, but even in putting you in a hotel, you still going to have to pay that back, so they're going to pull it out your check. So, or it could be something different. I don't know. But I got up there. I saw 2 trucks. There was a 2015 Freightliner Cascadia. It was a manual. And then there was a 2015 International. Both of them were manuals. Me personally, I prefer a manual, but that's what I was going to get. So I picked the International. Then I was told that I picked the International. I said, no, don't pick the International. You know, there's a lot of issues on that model. There's a lot of recalls and a lot of issues, and trucks break down a lot. You don't want that when you running a business. You don't want your truck to spin on the side of the road a lot. So by that time, I already got the International. All right, I had them went to the place to do my drug test. Had to pay $90 for the drug test. They took a picture of the side of the door, sent it to me, and said, this is the company you need to do the drug test under. So I did that. And then when I found out, my father-in-law asked me what truck I picked. He said, no, man, do what you got to do, but don't take that International now. I told you to stay away from it. So I didn't take the International. I ended up having to go back and take another drug test. They took a picture on the side of the door for me. And they said, on the side of the door, it said Corden, but I went down there and told them Floyd. So I took the test for Floyd. Then when I came back, I found out I had to go back down there and pay another $90 to do the same exact thing. I think somewhere along the way, they charged me twice. I think I got double charged. And when I found it, I called them. And with much hassle, after some days, I got my money back. It was like maybe about 30, 40 days, I got my money back finally. But the main thing I'm going to say is if you come to Superego, make sure you have saved up some money because you're going to need it. All right. So I did the application right this time. I told them Corden. And I took the drug test. So I had to wait. Now that, in the span of that would have been Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think I went up there on Wednesday. That was Thursday. The drug test didn't come back until maybe late Friday. So I didn't get hired on just then. I had to wait on the thing for the drug test. But in the meantime, I spent the weekend up in Bensonville. I almost froze my butt off because I didn't realize that in May that it's still cold. Around May 7th, it's still cold, and I didn't have no heavy coat. I had like a flimsy jacket. Should have wore a heavy coat. So there's another thing. If you go up there in May, make sure you got a heavy coat. Honestly, if you're going in the Midwest, period, even if it is summer, or winter, or spring, have a heavy coat because you never know, the weather could change in an instant, just like the snap of my finger just now. So I went up there, filled out the paperwork. By this time, it was Monday now. I was up there Saturday and Sunday. At that time, I slept in the truck. All right. The kicker is that these trucks, when they go back up there at the time, they had little to no fuel in it. And to run the heat, it don't really burn as much fuel as it would burn for what's the name. I was almost on E by the time I got a chance to go, fill up the truck. So then I get hired on because I passed the drug test because I don't go figure. I ain't gonna say yeah, they didn't find anything in it. I had a negative drug test, and because I don't drink or smoke really anything at all. So that was done. Then after I had done that, they brought me in for the actual orientation and went over everything that I was signing the contracts for, which I signed the contracts before and I had already read. So I was a little bit ahead because I learned one thing in anything from my time in the military, because I'm a veteran. You always read everything. You always read everything before you sign it because you don't know what you're signing. You need to ask questions and get a clear indication of what you're signing. All right, so I signed all that, and once I signed it, You know, we had the little test, the classes. They give you a class on ELD. They tell you what to do, what not to do. They give you a class on basic stuff that you would have to know as a truck driver. Set up your clearinghouse account if you ain't already got one. Then if so, you got to go in and make the changes. They'll walk you through it. And then once you finish all that, they give you a tablet. And then once they give you a tablet, you install the tablet. Like they show you how, they'll explain how to do it. You install the tablet, and then you put your name in and all that stuff, and all your information will pop up just like that with your truck and all that stuff. All right. So one thing to be mindful of, though, excuse me. One thing to be mindful of is before you leave that yard, make sure you check everything. Check trailer, check tires, check to see if stuff is wrong under the hood, under the trailer, check everything. Even go by and try to turn the nuts with your hand on the hub caps, on the hubs. Try to turn them, and if they're loose, you know, they can get them to tighten them before you go. So make sure you check all that. Make sure before you sign anything with that truck, or you leave the yard with that truck, that you happy with that truck. Because once you take that truck off the yard, anything that happens is all on you. All right, it's all on you. You take care of tires, all that stuff, even on the trailer. Because even though this company, even though they tell you, you know, you renting a trailer, you might as well be buying it, because you paying all the maintenance on it. You paying all the maintenance. You paying tires, you paying brakes, you paying it all. Now, I've talked about maintenance procedures in one of my other videos. If you want to go look at that, you can. All right, so once you finish all that, you go and get your load. They'll take you and they can run you through your house. Run you through your house to get your stuff that you need for your truck. This is why I say, make sure you have money when you go up there, because you're gonna need to buy food. They don't feed you at the orientation, so you need to buy food. You need to buy like blankets, pillows if you need them, or you can just get a cheap pillow like I did, cheap colored pillows. And I bought a cheap blanket for the time being until I could get back home to put fitted sheet and all that stuff on. All right. So then I got a load going home into South Carolina. Went from Bensenville to South Carolina area. Think my load was going to Atlanta. I stopped off at the house because I had some time to get there. They gave me about a day and a half, something like that. Had time to get there anyway. So I got home. I did a lot of driving. Got to the house. Stayed at home for like a day and then went back out. But I got all my stuff I needed. During the time that I had been gone, my wife bought me a refrigerator. So I got the refrigerator, put it on the truck. I already had an inverter on the truck. Just had to learn how to cut it on. Another driver told me what to do, to go down and look and open up my little compartment, my undercarriage under the truck, and look at the inverter itself. It should be a green button and it should be a red button. Push the green button and it'll cut it on. So it cut it on. I plugged the refrigerator, had the refrigerator going, had put some food and stuff in there, and went back on the road on my merry little way. And I know for the time that I was there, for the first week, I didn't get a paycheck because they said I had to backdate everything, pay all my stuff for, you know, time being. I ended up paying into my registration. You know, once I paid my registration, it was over some time. And I also had to pay the I forgot the name of it. It escapes my mind right now, but escrow. Had to pay the escrow. That's it. Had to pay the escrow. I think the escrow was like $2,000, but after you pay the escrow of $2,000, that's it for the year. And they only take 10 payments to pay your registration for the year. Once you pay your registration, that's it for that year. You don't have to pay again until next year. So went through all that, did all that, got to the point where I'm at now. If I didn't have a strong prayer life, a working supportive wife, I probably would not have made it. But it was through the grace of God that I made it. The reason why I'm still here at Superego, well, that's a story for another time. But I will say this. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I can go home when I want to. I think I've mentioned it before. But this place to work with you, being that I'm a veteran, I have certain appointments that I have to make. I have issues that goes on. I don't have where you have to stick the needle in me, but I do have diabetes. I'm not claiming that, but The doctor say I got it, but I know I serve a God who's bigger than that, and I claim that I will be off this medication and not have to go and get insulin. Because right now, as of right now, I'm not shooting insulin, thank God. And we're going to continue to believe that. So, through the grace of God, a lot of prayer, and remaining constant, that's how I made it to this point. And now I'm about to come up on my 3-year mark. May 7th, 2023 will be my 3 years mark here at Superego. Now, y'all people be blessed. I hope this story time will give you some insight if you decide to come over to Superego, or maybe even another lease purchase. I don't know how they do it. It might be similar, it might be different. Just giving you what I go through. Like I said, I go home every weekend. I'm happy with it. I know if I stayed out more, I'd make more money. Like this weekend, I had to stay out. Why? Because I had to get brakes on my trailer. DOT would have saw what I had going on back there. I would have been put out of service. And with this company, if you get put out of service for whatever you get put out of service for, or whatever you get ticket for, or anything, they will fine you. They will fine you. I don't know exact prices, but I know if it's a DOT regulation regarding your logs and they catch it, you will get a $500 fine, maybe even more. That's coming from the company. Now, that's not even saying whatever you might have to pay if they give you a ticket. All right, just little stuff to keep in mind. Anyways, you people have a blessed day. I'm Reverend Kevin. I will be making more content. Some content I might do some things where I cook on the truck, because I have a microwave and I have a sandwich maker and I have a George Foreman grill. So I try to get my stuff where I can cook it on the truck. You know, it's more healthier for me to cook for myself than to go buy truck stop food. I'm not saying I don't, but I try not to buy a lot of truck stop food. And I try to be mindful of what I'm eating. All right. Y'all be blessed. Have a blessed day. This is Reverend Kevin. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.